What's up, guys? So this is episode 2 of the Wandering Warrior Poet series, or episode 3, technically, interview number 2. And I'm switching it up a little bit. I realize that some of you're not Americans, and I think that people from outside of America should understand America is not just this place with like people you see in Netflix movies or people you see in articles, Brad Pitt's, you know, Channing Tatum's, all these different things. It's a lot more diverse than that. And I know on my travels, people have literally questioned me because I'm Asian. They told me I'm not from America because I'm Asian. It's like the funniest freaking thing in the world. But right now, we have one of my old friends from university. Introduce yourself.
What's going on, guys? My name's Austin Piazza. I'm a stand-up comedian from New York City. Amateur stand-up comedian, open micer. Better way to describe it.
So, how did you get into comedy, man? Like, why comedy?
Well, I've always thought I've been funny, and people have always told me I've been funny. I've made them laugh, and I felt like it was the right time because I needed a way to express myself without going, absolutely crazy with all the situations that were happening in the time of my life current at that time. Ugh, excuse me.
So, to you, comedy is this release valve.
It's an escape of some ways. Yeah, getting on the stage, it's like an experience I can't describe the feeling, the rush that you get of getting up there, making a joke. And most of the time, especially when you're new, jokes are not going to hit and people are just going to look at you with blank faces, and that's a part of the process. But once you hit that crack of laughter and you make 50, 60 people in a room laugh, you feel on top of the world. It's honestly like a drug.
So, if it's a drug, it compels you, right? Like,
Yeah.
It's not like you can fight the urge. It just fills your body with euphoria.
Yeah, I remember the first time I ever got on stage, and I did rather well because I was doing a showcase with a couple other people who were pretty good, but I guess, I was just a little bit more prepared for it. And the energy that I got off of making that whole room just laugh at something that I thought up myself, wrote out concept wise, practiced, worked at it, workshopped, and it worked, was successful. I got off that stage. I felt like I was a king and I was ready to like conquer. I wanted to get up there and do it again and again and again. It's addicting.
That's
It's
awesome,
so
man.
addicting.
It's empowering for you. It
Yeah.
gives you that feeling where it's like, hey, like this is something I can do.
I walked off the stage and I took a class. I was a little nervous to even start it because how do you build a base of writing jokes? I didn't even understand that premise. So I took a class, but as soon as I walked out, I went up to the teacher. I go, "This is it. This is the feeling that I want to feel forever." Sick.
So my thing is, you mentioned maybe you fail like 5 times on stage, right? You don't get the laughter immediately. It takes 1, 2, 3, 7, 9, whatever amount of times, right?
And I've failed.
And we all have, right? So like, how do you see? It's different for me, I guess, because doing jujitsu, man, wrestling, grappling, this kind of stuff, there is no audience, right? I'm not trying to make people laugh. So when I can deal with that failure, I can do it on my own. But for you, how do you manage? Like, I'm sure you have your own little mental traumas in your head, right? And I've heard from the profile of other comedians, they got a real dark sense of humor based on what they went through as a kid or whatever it
Just
is.
in life, yeah. Life can be a
How
little
do you?
rocky.
So like, if you Google it, right, or you talk to a therapist, they'll tell you like, certain people with these mental traumas, these instabilities, whatever it is, tend to be very unconfident or have low self-esteem. So how do you manage to, take those 5 hits of people literally staring you right in the face, blank eyed, like no laughter, and then just go, fuck you, I'm gonna make you laugh, like this is me.
The way you think about it, it's literally it's a part of the growing experience, because it's not just you. It's not open micers that are bombing. The top level comedians bomb every night. Like, Tom Segura, Joe Rogan, they can go out there. They're practicing a new joke. If they're workshopping something new, most of the time it's gonna not get a laugh. But that's what you need, though. You learn what words are funny. If you have too many words, that was something that I learned. Too many words is a bit of a problem. You need to be concise, and your words need to be what words you need. Like, they need to be specific. Some words are funnier than others. It's a whole process. But bombing is a part of that process. You learn what gets a hit. So, like, maybe you'll get a chuckle off a couple different words that you use. If you change it up, maybe you change up the voice inflection of something you say. Maybe you redirect it. It's not really as discouraging as it sounds, because it's not bombing. That sounds awful.
It sounds awful, yeah.
But it's not as bad as it really comes off to be, because it is a learning experience. It is the way to get better, and it makes me feel better, because even my favorite comics still bomb every day. So,
but what is, so that's the thing. Like, I understand it's bombing is maybe the same as making a mistake in, I don't know, playing basketball or drawing something or like learning poker, right? Playing chess, or even like doing politics, whatever it is, writing an essay. But for you, like, I think specifically coming from the background of comedy, you have to do this in front of people who are maybe 12, 10, 20, whatever the crowd is. So like, what goes through your mind? Because like usually like we're humans are monkeys, right? So like there are certain chemicals that come from that anxiety, that come from that failure to make the person laugh. Like what goes through your mind when that happens?
so there's two things. There's two different situations. There's not a situation at the moment of the bomb. You have to try and win the crowd back. That's your first thought. Like, okay, this crowd's against me. Right now they don't think I'm funny. They're not really into what I'm saying. What can I say differently to get them back on my side? Because that's what it is. It's a battle between the comic and the audience, for the audience to be on the comic side. Because if they decide they don't like them, it's going to be rough. But when you get off the stage, that mindset switches. Is how do I rearrange this joke so that situation doesn't happen again?
Oh, but when you're on stage, it's not like comedy, but it's like, this is a battle, me versus you guys. Let's see who wins.
Yes, and
Oh, that's cool.
that's how I see it. I have to go onto the stage, and I have to get the audience to see my point of view, accept it, and think it's funny.
So it's like being a lawyer. Your job is to use your words and use the syntax and use and persuade.
Yeah, pretty much. My first joke that ever got a laugh was a public service announcement for big fat guys. Never try on your girlfriend's bra, because it's the two situation that you find yourself in is, if it doesn't fit, yeah, it's whatever. But if it fits, you're fucked.
I get it. Oh man. But like, so that's your mentality, right?
Yeah.
But I'm
And
sure that there are other people out there, aspiring comics, or even comics who are I'm sorry, comedians, who are you know making money off this, who are on the bigger platforms. So like, for the people that are a little bit not as, I want to say, bold as you or strong as you, like, what do you think is going through their head? Because I've been told that there are a lot of comedians who, like, they go on stage and like, if they get rejected in front of that crowd, the anxiety starts to come out, the trembling of the voice, man, like the thump. Like, what would you tell them? Because these people are hurt inside as well.
there's a certain kind of person that can make it in comedy, and I'm hoping that I can be that kind of person, because you get those feelings. You have to push past those feelings. You can't let the crowd dictate how you're the crowd dictates how you're doing. You can't let the crowd dictate how your future of the career is going to go. just because you suck tonight doesn't mean you're going to suck tomorrow. Doesn't mean you're going to suck the next day. And always remind yourself that you're new to this. It's, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Mm. But what is this specific type of person that succeeds? And you can't give a generic answer. Give a
The specific.
Yeah.
So there's a comic. He passed away. I heard a story about him recently. His name was Brody Stevens. He used to go by the name Stephen Brody. And one night he did terribly. This is a story I heard in a podcast. I wish I could remember where it was from. He bombed one night as Stephen Brody, and the next day he came in as Brody Stevens. Just flipped his name, and they're like, "What's different about you? Why are you so different?" He goes, "No, it's the mentality." He goes, "They didn't like what I brought yesterday. I'm bringing something completely different today, and I'm gonna make them laugh, make them like me." And since that moment, he just fucking kept going forward until his ultimate passing. Rest in peace.
So yeah,
It's a headstrongness. It's a headstrongness to just push past the bullshit and to keep fighting. You're gonna eat shit. You're gonna be poor. You're gonna make no money. You're gonna talk. My worst bombing was in a Long Island Italian restaurant in front of 90-year-old Italian ladies. Like these are the performances you're gonna have to give, and you have to just bite the bullet and just keep your head down and push through it. I mean, you could probably feel the same way with jiu-jitsu and fighting. Like you're gonna take some licks that you're not gonna like.
But I would say that I am, but the environment is different. So you take an insecure person, right? Someone who's maybe beaten up as a kid by their parents, somebody who was raped or whatever.
That could 100% work.
So see in grappling or jiu-jitsu wrestling, it's like you're not dealing with an audience. It's a one-on-one thing. But you take that same person, you put them in comedy. It seems like it's a group of people versus one person. And you mentioned earlier about this Brody Stevens character. You talked about like how his mentality was, I'm gonna make you fucking laugh. I'm gonna win you over. But isn't winning people over like it's kind of like a validation thing, an external validation that's feeding into some sort of hole in your heart, right?
You just crack the secret code of every comedian who's ever existed, who's ever tried comedy. It's the constant crave of validation and attention that we seek.
External validation. And I can assume that if you're a needy person because maybe mommy and daddy didn't instill in you the proper upbringing, then that validation gets addicted to winning people over. Addicted to, okay. Is that?
Well, for me personally, I like to be the center of attention of a room. It gives me that rush when I know I can go into a room that's, things are going on. I can take control of the room. I can set the energy levels. I can say what's going on. That gives me kind of like a power trip, I guess.
No, that's pretty interesting, man. I think a lot of people, they do that same thing, but maybe they do it in unhealthy, toxic relationships, or they do it in unhealthy, toxic friendships, or they do it in an untoxic work environment. But at least, like, you could fucking straight up say, hey, this is me. I like the attention. Give me the attention.
For me to like the attention's like all nice and stuff, but my main goal is to make people laugh. Like that's what I love to do. I like to make people laugh. Like if you're gonna have a good time, I want to be the one doing it. Like that's where that comes from, is that I can make you laugh. That gives me the energy.
So what is laughter to you? Why is laughter so important to you?
It's always been a way for me to de-stress by just laughing, enjoying myself in the moment, just forgetting about everything else and just appreciating a joke, appreciating a situation.
So it helps you get present. You're not in the past anymore. And we know how our brains work. Our brains are always fucking thinking about the future, thinking about the past, thinking about the mistakes. But for you, it keeps you grounded.
Yep, grounded. Great way to describe it.
Yo, man, that's really nice to hear, man, because there's a lot of people out there who they don't have anything like that. They don't have comedy. They don't have jujitsu. They don't, maybe they put their relationships on a pedestal, or put their family on a pedestal and trying to get that external validation. But at least when you get it through comedy and I get it through jujitsu, we actually inherently love what we do. That's very nice to hear, man.
It's a way you have to think about it too, because you can go in for all the wrong reasons. Like, oh, I want to do it for fame. I want to do it for this, and that's not what's gonna make a good comedian. It's not going to make a good fighter. It's not going to make a good anything. You have to go with the right intentions with everything.
So intentions. You hear that, everyone? Intentions, man. Intentions are key. Um, so you're a comedian. You obviously, and if you're persuading people, you have to understand human nature to a certain degree. Uh, I don't. I mean, I would say if you're a comedian, it's not even if you have the ability to make a bunch of foreigners laugh who barely speak your native tongue, that means you got it down to a T. And it's like, how would you, man, after all your experiences, define human nature?
This is a tough question. This is the hardest question I think you have set up for this interview, and I would think we talked about it on my podcast a little bit. I think human nature at the end of the day is for one thing, and it's everybody just wants to be happy. They want to experience good experiences and live a fulfilling life. And I think that transcends culture, transcends race, sexuality, everything. I think like people just want to live fulfilling lives.
Fulfilling lives. So that's how you define it, huh?
Yeah,
So
and
do you think?
regardless of what fulfilling is to an individual, can change. Everything is different for everybody. You want to do what you want, and you want to experience like true freedom, true happiness.
Hmm. So do you think this concept of human nature gets jaded behind all of the inconsistencies or negative things about humans, right? Like we are always uncomfortable to a certain degree, and even in these painful moments, sharing our feelings helps humanize us, right? It makes us happy, makes us relatable.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody really wants to be friends or partners with somebody who's just fine all the time. We crave connections, and those connections happen to be negative. So do you think that negativity it twists the definition of happiness and fulfillment, or it adds on to it?
Honestly, I don't think it does either, because negativity, it's all. That's all I think. Perspective wise, is what you see as negative. Whereas one person can see something as a negative, another person can see it as a positive, or a catalyst for change. Even though it is negative, it's a kick in the ass that you needed to go forward and do something else.
Hmm. Okay, I see what you mean. That's that the get up, fall down, get back up mentality you use for
Exactly.
comedy. Okay, all right, I understand that. So then, speaking of falling down, man, uh, if you don't mind, right? You don't have to. I don't want to force anybody, but can you share a story on a time you hit rock bottom and how it made you feel?
So I think rock bottom is a weird term, because days can get worse, days can get better, but I think rock bottom might be a mindset. And I think the worst mindset that I've ever had, I don't want to consider it to be the bottom. I think there's, you know, I wouldn't want to think that negatively on this situation, but I did last year lose my best friend to, I'll spare the details, but it was a type of cancer. It was a real rough situation, but it was that boost that I need to get into comedy, because it was either that or sit and be upset all day.
So you'd say that that rock bottom, it fueled you to say, "Hey, like,
And there needs to be a
what,
change.
why not right now?"
Yeah. and what was the most what did I think I could get the most out of by also helping other people. And it was comedy. It was laughter brings people together.
So obviously, like, you're human. And I would say a
Maybe.
lot of us, including myself, I've told myself the same things, but we always have these moments where we think about, even, even when we're progressing forward, we think about what happened in the past. And I'm sure, my condolences, by the way, that you're one of your close friends, man. Like, I'm sure that still affected you, even though you were going into comedy. Would you say during your process of, learning more about how to be a comic, like, would you say that your trauma from your past, like, would you say the laughter helped
Yeah, oh yeah.
heal it
It was
heal it a little bit?
it was like medicine. It was like the feeling I said of on top of the worldness. That was like a hug from the crowd saying like you did it, you did a good job, and it was that validation felt so good, and I kind of forgot about everything else, and I was just in the moment at that situation.
Yo, that's nice, man. That's a beautiful way to describe it. Laughter is a hug. Laughter is a hug, man. And
Or
to
a
me,
great escape mechanism because I laugh in really shitty situations because it's just my way to cope.
no, I see what you mean. Yeah, no, see, for me, like, laughter, like when I get hurt, man, I laugh. Like, for some reason, dude,
It's
I could like snap a knee ligament and just start laughing. I don't know why that is, but I think it's like
it's your
it definitely is a coping
it's your
mechanism. Like,
defense
hey,
mechanism, yeah. And it's different for everybody. Some people have the run, some people have the fight. I guess us weirdos, we have the laugh in the face of danger situation.
no, man, yeah, you're definitely right. It's a fucking weird thing. It definitely creeps people out too. I will say that.
Yeah, yeah.
So before we finish up, as you know, my whole premise for this channel is to prove the idea that, humans are not so different after all. I'm in Istanbul, but you can be in Bulgaria, you can be in the U.S., you can be in Colombia, you could be in Korea, man, and we speak all these different languages. We have all these different cultural nuances. But is there anything you'd like to tell the guests across the world, like, on why you're just you and you're just like them?
Like I said, man, we're all just looking for good experiences. We're all trying to laugh, be merry. It's a cliche thing to say, be joyful, be merry, and enjoy life. But life is easier with a smile and dancing through it than with a frown and being all miserable all the time. Like, yeah, it's okay to be miserable every once in a while. Like, it's okay to be in your feelings, but always look for the good and the positivity because there's always more to life, and the world keeps spinning even without you. So you're gonna get left behind.
Unless the world is flat, ladies and gentlemen, because then if it's flat, I think
Only
shout out to my guy Eddie Bravo.
only the lights in the sky spin.
Yeah, man.
Big brain
No, I
time.
mean, you guys heard it here first. Like, don't be a fucking hater, right? Don't be a hater. Life is better than it is.
Yeah.
And I guess that, closing statement proves the fact that, you know, maybe human beings aren't so different after all. And I guess we're changing that idea one conversation at a time. So we're gonna get to bed now, man. It's 3:20 in the morning here,
Super
and
late for you.
dude, it was so nice talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you. It was nice to be on the show. If you want to hear more from me, you can follow me on Twitter at Austin J. Piazza, or follow my podcast, the Can't Afford a Therapist podcast.
Dude, the Can't Afford a Therapist podcast is one you're not gonna want to miss.
He was
So
just on
check
it.
it out, and I'll put it in the show notes. And until next time, everyone.
Good night.
Sayonara.